Yeah.
5 o'clock, time to call our study session into session. Summer, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Blevins?
Here.
Commissioner Norwood?
Present.
Commissioner Sirigusa?
Here.
Commissioner Roberts is not present. Commissioner Stallings?
Here.
Commissioner Orr?
Here.
And Mayor Mason.
Here. Item number 2, at the Commission's request, discuss any item of concern on the regular session agenda. Item number 3, on the study session, item 3.1, discuss street renaming to honor Paul Allen. And Mike Wright, I think,
I'm up?
yes, sir.
Okay, very good. I feel like I'm being summoned to the principal's office, but
And Mike, I wanted you to know that last time you were up here, we try to hold our public comments to 1 minute. That's why we wanted to bring you back. This is very important. We want to bring you back during the study session, so we're not limited on time.
okay,
Doing a minute and
so
a half today.
I'm gonna get,
Yeah, a minute.
I'm gonna get more than 90 seconds. All right, so
I'll
my name's
give him an
Mike
extra
Wright,
second
and
for mine.
a few weeks ago, I sent a letter to the editor posing the question, where's Paul Allen Drive? And as I mentioned, I got literally hundreds of text messages, emails. People I saw in the post office I didn't know came up and said, man, that's a great idea, go for it. And so I came down to talk and talk to you all about it. And, we can't ever replace what Mr. Allen has done. He think about this, he employed thousands of people for decades. He built the ballpark that we collect sales tax off of tourism. He spent close to $15 million on a soccer complex, going to be even greater. He gives, scholarships to Enid High students for first-time attendees of college. Probably donated every charity and nonprofit in town. So there's no way we'll ever repay him. But this is our attempt. So I went and talked to him about it, and what my idea was, and he said it wasn't necessary. And I said, well, we're going to do it anyway. And I gave him some locations to consider, and one was out by Advance, by the soccer complex. One was downtown by the ballpark, and the other one was on Willow, where he lives. He lives right off of Willow. And for fair disclosure, I live south of Willow, so I live off of Willow, and he lives on the north side. I live about 1/8 of a mile from him, so don't anybody think I'm doing this for any personal benefit of my own. And so then he picked the Willow. I think you got a map. Joe told me you had a map.
Yes.
He picked the Willow location, if we're going to name a road after him. And in the meantime, however, I was reading some correspondence from Billy Graham organization. And Billy Graham is from Charlotte, North Carolina. We all know that Charlotte, North Carolina is a place where you want to live. And I noticed in the correspondence from Billy Graham organization that the address was the Billy Graham Parkway. And that really interested me in a parkway. And I didn't know what a parkway was, so I looked it up according to Wikipedia. A parkway is a landscape thoroughfare. The term is particularly used for a roadway in a park or connecting to a park from which trucks and other heavy vehicles are excluded. That brought two thoughts to me. One was, are trucks supposed to be excluded on Willow Road? And the reason I ask that, if you'll come into Enid of Willow from the east, at 4th Street, there's a sign that says truck route pointing north, 64. If you go to the next intersection, the light at Grand and Willow, another sign that says truck route pointing west. And if you go to Van Buren and Willow, there's a sign that says truck route pointing north and south. So I don't know what all that means. I don't know if trucks are prohibited from being on Willow.
The truck route does not include that portion of Willow that we're talking about that goes from Van Buren all the way to Garland or Wheat Ridge.
The truck route does not.
It does not include that.
Okay.
No.
So our
Highway
trucks,
45 is supposed to be.
So are trucks supposed to be on that road?
Not unless they have business, like they're delivering to Jumbos or something like that.
But cattle trucks.
No, they probably shouldn't be
Yeah.
on that road.
So, I'm concerned about, how we prohibit those types of activity for the safety of the citizens. Because,
Don't
we
we-
need to,
Don't we have some, there's a place that butchers cattle.
We
Isn't
do,
there
and that's
on Willow?
on-
That's between
that's easy.
Van
Okay,
Buren and
okay,
Graham.
never mind.
I'm just bringing up the question, I don't know the answer, but I'd like to see the trucks being prohibited for the safety of the citizens.
We'd be happy to put up no truck signs on
Yeah.
that section.
So when I'm thinking about a parkway, instead of Paul Allen Drive, I'm thinking about Paul Allen Parkway. And if that's the case, where's our park? So the 3 locations I picked out to think about, I'm not sure they're going to work. I'm not sure the whole idea is going to work, but I'm going to throw it in your lap and let you all figure it out. But the 3 locations would be at the southwest corner of Cleveland and Willow. And Joe was just telling me, the Cummins Group is trying to build an office building there. It's been stalled for quite some time.
Well, I didn't tell you no. I just said it was, I said you it was
Okay.
Ray Feitner's property, and they were talking about building
Yeah,
that.
not trying to put words in your mouth. But anyway, would be a great place for a park, man. Right there would be a great place for a park. Paul Allen Park, on the Paul Allen Parkway. Another location is just west of the tracks on Willow. Right there, just west of Rockwood, there's a vacant spot in there. Another place we could put a park possibly. It's kind of small, but possibly it could work if, we'd have to have somebody figured out. The third location would be at the other end of Willow on Oakwood, and in the northwest corner of that property is Oakwood Country Club, and they had a well site there that's been taken down. It's pretty much, looks pretty bad, it's pretty rough shape. I have a feeling maybe Oakwood would, give us some sort of a easement or something to put a park there, put in really cool, make it a really cool park.
Where's the last one at? Tell me again, give me the direct.
It's the northwest corner of Oakwood Country Club. It's actually, for the intersection, it's the southeast corner of the intersection.
Raleigh, can you get
Catty
the-
corner,
Okay, yeah,
catty
okay.
corner from the quick shop.
Used to be a tank battery there.
Yeah, I do know where that is. I was thinking across the road on the northwest side. I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. See, there's and that corner needs work. There is a little bit of a turn in there. The parking's not great. I'm thinking we make this kind of a walk to the park idea. And the reason is I noticed that the TSET, the Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust people, about a year ago, told us that Garfield County, about 64% of Garfield County residents are obese. So we need to walk more. Walk more. If you walk 7,500 steps, you can lose weight.
Time's up.
So we're going to go to the Y when this is over. So anyway, that's another possible location, if we did it really cool and put in a playground, put in covered picnic tables, some grills. I remember when I was a kid, my parents took me to Meadow Lake Park on Saturday morning. We went out, cooked bacon and eggs and played at the playground, and we need to get back to some family activity. Any questions?
Mike, the piece of property that's halfway down past the railroad track going west, that's on the north side.
Yes, sir.
I know that track you're talking about. I've
Right
seen
there.
it many, many times, but do you know who owns that? Do we have any idea?
It might be Phil Edwards.
It is.
Huh?
It is.
It is down
Well,
Phil.
his son, I think, owns it.
Okay,
Do I?
I think his son owns it.
His son, Clark? Okay.
okay.
So, the issue's gonna be the parking, but that's another possible location to have a Paul Allen Park for our parkway.
Can we go back to the first one that you mentioned?
Yeah. The first one,
Yes, sir.
yeah, is other end.
Across
Oh, the
from
first one, yeah.
across from Jumbo.
Yeah.
Oh,
right
okay,
there.
on the southwest
Across
corner of
from Jumbo's.
Jumbo's? Okay.
There are already some trees in there.
Yeah.
They did some
There's pads,
extensive
sorry.
water work,
Yeah.
as I recall. Getting-
That's a larger area, isn't it?
That's a
than all
larger
the rest
area.
of them?
And there's parking around it. There's a, apartment complex closer to the population. Might be the prime location.
Mm-hmm.
We should have to twist Ray's arm, maybe.
You be willing to do that?
Huh? Well, me? Absolutely. Yeah,
We'll talk to him.
I can, if it works, if it's a possibility. Okay, is that it?
So, Mike, I can't speak for the rest of the council, but I agree with you. The amount of stuff that Paul Allen's done and the stuff that he's done that and no one's ever mentioned that he's done behind the scenes is just over the top sometimes. I would very much be for this. I know that you said something about that there's not any houses that would be affected by that, right? Or it was very limited
I
on.
went and talked to, if you will go, whoever's running this thing, right at the tracks there, across the Willow, right there where you are, that little arrow, there's a house there, and her name is Morris. I went and visited with her about it, told her what my plan was, and she said, that's awesome. So it didn't seem to bother her. Now, she may not have realized that she's going to have a different mailing address.
I guess my question is, and I'm good with a park, I don't think we can ever have too many parks. Why would we not consider doing that all the way across on Willow? Why just do 1 mile of that?
Oh, I didn't think I could go, you go that far, but farther the better.
I mean-
Yeah, there'd be a lot more, you're talking about going all the way to Garland?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so.
And I'm trying to
on
think, as you
Garland-
go down through there, there's still not very many houses actually face that road.
There
We'll
are.
eventually do 4-lane all the way out.
The businesses that would be affected in that situation would be Brookdale is on the north side, on the south side. It faces Willow, and then Prairie View School farther out. But I don't think there are any houses that would be impacted. I'm not sure what address the Quick Shop uses there at the corner. I'm not sure if they use a Willow address or Oakwood, but there are very few. The farther we go, the better.
I just think that Paul's done a lot of stuff for this community, continues to do that. I just don't think that's too much of a stretch to jump out there all the way to Garland, and that's all going to build up over time out through there. So I know it's a couple fields when you get out there, but it won't always be.
I have selfish reasons, but I wish he would have picked 54th.
Do what?
I wish he would have picked 54th, where he
Oh,
put the
54th?
original,
Yeah.
where he put his original business at, and that it grew and grew and grew, and,
Yeah,
that whole section of 54th there is all businesses, and a lot has to do with him starting
right, yeah.
his business there, and that area growing.
The 54th doesn't have as much traffic, as Cleveland and Willow has tremendous amount of traffic, and so, anyway, that's one he picked, so I went with it.
Any questions or?
This little triangle piece by the railroad tracks, have you had any communications with the railroad line to see how
I have not.
they would feel about it? Because if we're having a park right there,
Yeah,
I mean, my concern is that neighborhood, what's this, Willow West?
Willow West.
Yeah, all the kids that would have to cross the tracks, and, they'd probably just especially the boys would be inclined just to go over the
jumping over, yeah,
tracks.
yeah.
So I think the railroad company would be concerned about that, and then probably,
Sure could be, it's a good question.
Commissioner Stallings once said the railroad never does anything cheap, so they'd probably
They
insist
don't
on
do anything cheap.
a lot of barriers, safety barriers around it.
So are you looking to start at Cleveland
Uh-huh,
and possibly go all the way to Garland?
right.
Okay.
Well, and that triangular piece that you're talking about that Edwards owns, that's not right up next to the track, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to put some sort of barrier there to keep kids from, you can't, railroads right away, I think it's 50 feet on either, from the center line in both directions. So,
The length of the property.
the length of the property.
Okay.
That corner.
Okay.
Comments. They own that property and they're talking about overhead.
Other comments, questions?
Okay. Well, I would just follow up, Mayor. I hear the desire for staff to look at that and develop this concept and bring it back over the next month or two is what we'll be working on it. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
So we'll do
If you
that.
want me to go talk to the property owners, I can do that.
Certainly, that would probably help.
Mike, I personally like the, from Cleveland to Garland idea, like the mayor was saying, and making the park right across the street from Jumbo's, because that would give the children in that apartment complex and that surrounding area a place to play, because it's more congested there and you would have more activity. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. And I think there probably needs to be some no matter where we select, the east or the west side, there's going to have to be some sidewalk work done. Make really cool sidewalks. You guys did a great job on Willow with the sidewalks and the roads, really, really good. And so there'd be some expense to it, but like I said, I don't think we can ever repay the man.
We have been known to change the name of a street on a street sign without changing the name of the street.
That's true.
Yes.
We have an example of that in the city.
Benson Boulevard,
Say what?
Eric Benson Boulevard. We never changed the name of the street, but we
Oh,
put
that's
street
right.
signs up,
The street signs.
a lot of them.
It's just a honorary street naming.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Item 3.2, discuss with Captain David Brittle from Salvation Army on the homeless issue. Captain?
Hey, as he warms up, I just wanted to say a few things about, I've gotten to know David over the last probably 3 years or so you've been here. Maybe it's been 4, I don't know.
I just did my 4th Christmas.
Okay, it's been 4. And I remember he came around COVID, or maybe slightly before, and so we were all involved more with a lot of things that government, traditional local government hadn't really been involved in. Maybe we should have been, but I remember meeting you down at Our Daily Bread. You had the Salvation Army trailer out. You were feeding people, and you had some of your, I think you had one of your board members there. And
As I
so-
do tonight.
Yes, yes. And so getting to know you, if you don't know David Brittle, he is a godly man. I could tell you that. He doesn't, you will never, he would never have come here if I didn't reach out to him, because he would have been busy, too busy doing the Salvation Army and the Lord's work. So he's a very humble man, but he probably, there's not very many people that have their finger on the pulse of, some of the challenges we have with poverty and homelessness, and specifically, you guys have the only shelter that operates all the time in Enid. So you're going to talk to us about some of those things tonight.
Yes.
Forgotten Ministries also does wonderful things, and Jeremiah was here, and we'll probably have some more people here. But Mayor, this is kind of just a follow-up on trying to figure out what we can do. Well, we need to listen to people like David, so.
Well, thank you for the kind words, and I would like to say thank you to the council and to the mayor for having me. I was told I had 17 past, so 47 minutes? Okay. I am a pastor by trade now, so if we start pulling out the offering plates, please give generous.
What I did say is if we start saying amen a lot, that means it's time to cut it off.
We need an altar by then. I want to give some context to the Salvation Army. A lot of people do not understand what the Salvation Army is and what we do. So the Salvation Army is the largest non-governmental provider of social services in the United States. We're the largest in the world. Our expenditures include operating costs of $3.6 billion in the U.S. in the calendar year of 2022, assisting more than 32 million people in the U.S. alone. The Salvation Army is the 4th largest charity in the United States, with private donations that exceed $2 billion in the calendar year of 2022. I say all that to say this: the Salvation Army of Enid spends 94% of its budget to direct help. That's $1.5 million that is spent here in this community alone to help those get out of poverty, to help those stay in their home, to help them pay their bills, and to have food on their table, which is raised locally. We raise it through our thrift store. 100% of what we make here stays here. And I can be honest with you in saying I give out more out of my thrift store to those in need than I sell. We also have local grants, statewide grants, nationally, partnerships, our Kettle campaign, which we just ended, and a large portion are from private donors. These are the people that write us a check every month, or at the end of the year they give their contributions from their whatever it is. Our donors want to hear from us and the people that we're serving that they're from this community. The Salvation Army serves every zip code in Oklahoma, and we out of this office, the office that I am in charge of, administrate from, we serve Garfield, Grant, Major, and Alfalfa counties. The Salvation Army of Enid has been helping those in need in this community for 115 years. I believe, and that is an important fact, I always wonder, where would Enid be without the Salvation Army? That's what drives me every day to get up and to be a workaholic. My wife hates the fact that I work 7 days a week, but the need knows no season. There are some amazing groups here in Enid, organizations that help the less fortunate, and we need them. But none of them can say 115 years, which if you do the math, that's almost as long as Oklahoma's been a state. Our shelter is the most demanding part of our service. I am a pastor. When you sign your officer's covenant, you become an ordained minister. And my first and foremost is to teach those people in my congregation how to be the hands and feet of Christ. This is what we do on a daily basis. Our shelter is open from 4 p.m. to 7:45 a.m. We have check-ins all the way up to 9:45. We also have a rehabilitation program to help retrain people to learn a trade as they get off of an addiction. We train their minds to stay busy and out of trouble, if you will. Thank you, Chief. Try to make his workload a little bit lighter. We are a safe place with families in our family unit stay together and to help them figure out what their next move is. Our shelter is staffed by paid employees. This is the difference between us and some of the others shelters that we have in this area. Jeremiah is a great leader. I love his organization. I meet with him and Matt on a monthly basis. Used to be weekly, but we're so busy right now, it's kind of hard to find that time. But part of his crutch is he has to run his shelter by volunteers. Part of our overhead is from our employees. And I will tell you, that's probably the hardest job that I have on staff, is to deal with the homeless population day in and day out, 365 days a year. We want every kid that comes through the door to feel like they are somebody. We also want to make sure that every woman and child, man, those that are going through whatever they're going through, has a voice and that is heard. My shelter is staffed by employees that are caring. We were open on Christmas Day. We were staffed, making sure that everything ran as normal. For those that don't have any normal kind of lifestyle, we want to make sure that we were there. We even gave out gifts to those in our shelter that were our guests that night. Even the kids in our family units had Christmas morning. We are open every day, no matter what. No matter if the ice storms come through, no matter if we have rolling blackouts like we did, I believe it was 2 Christmases ago. We have generators to keep us going. We have gas stoves so we can continue to serve meals. We serve 4 meals a day, and that's ran by 1 kitchen manager because I do not have the funds to have more kitchen staff.
What are the 4 meals? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but what's...
So if you stay in our shelter at night and our family units say they were out of school for the week, they have breakfast, lunch, and we have 2 dinners.
Okay.
If you're in our program, you get 3 meals. We serve hot meals, leading into that. No questions asked, Sunday through Saturday at 6 p.m. to the public. If any of you in this room show up at 6 o'clock, we will not ask, why are you here? We don't look at the cars that you drive. You can come in and have a hot meal. We will serve until we run out of food. We have showers on our property. We own almost a whole city block, which hopefully by the end of this time next year, we will own the whole block. We have showers for those in need. We have laundry units, brand new. What I'd like to say, with the help of Cherokee Strip, we were able to put in 3 industrial washers and 6 industrial dryers. That is open to the public. Hygiene kits for those that are in need. All of this is free to our beneficiaries. We ask nothing in return. Our stats for 2023, which we're still compiling a few things here and there, but as of what we have in our system as of today, as I pull these numbers, we sheltered 7,763 nights to those that were in need last year. 4,117 gifts were given as Christmas. We gave out 3,480 food boxes, and we served, out of my small kitchen ran by one person, we served 26,275 meals last calendar year. If I spend $1.5 million this past year, think of how much money the Salvation Army has put in this community in the last 10, in the last 20, in the last 50 years. How much have we done to help people get back on their feet? Our shelter is falling apart. We have started a mission plan study to build 12 apartments. Now, don't get excited. We got a long way to go. We're looking at about $2.5 to $3 million to have more housing for those in need. More family units. I only have 4 family units right now, and today as I speak, we are full. There are things that we could do better, of course, but we've been in this business long enough to know that there are always somebody in need. And as I said before I walked in here, that's a biblical problem we will always have. We will always have those that do not want the responsibilities of paying taxes. We will always have those that choose to be homeless for whatever reason. It is my job, through our mission statement, to give all of that I can without discrimination. Doesn't matter what the need is, it is our job to make sure that we're pushing them in the right direction. I can't say enough about my staff. I know for a fact none of them work because I do not pay them enough, but they work because they love what they do. I also want to put in a stat in here that through the United States, the Salvation Army is the #1 second chance employer in our nation. I have 3 people on staff that have been there for over 5 years that came through our rehabilitation program. I have a lot of information, but I am open to any questions if you may have.
Do you have any statistics or figures on how many people we have in Enid that are homeless and need the services that you've just described?
So this would be something that's right up my alley. I am a numbers guy. I worked for an armored car company for 14 years. I'm the fixer in the Salvation Army. I'm the guy that gets the budget back on track. I would dare say there's 150 homeless people in our area. I would be highly surprised if we were to hit 200. You have to understand there's something different between homelessness, being homeless, or having a place to live but not the means to provide. I have to be very careful when I go into stories. I had a lady who came to our public feeding for 7 months last year. She had 5 kids, single mom. She had a place to stay. She didn't need laundry. She didn't need showers. The only thing that she was struggling with was put food on the table. For almost 8 months, that lady came every day with her kids, Monday through Sunday, to eat. So we have to be very careful when we talk about clients in a place to stay and beneficiaries that actually stay in our homeless shelter. We do have the emergency stay so transits can come in. And I need to be very adamant. The only thing I've ever asked any of them to do is follow the rules. They don't have to do anything else. They can follow the rules. Don't be belligerent. Don't threaten people. Don't. Gerald, I know we've had conversations, and I know the police chief understands when you're dealing with homeless. There's nothing that any story y'all can tell me that would surprise me. But my second week in Enid, I had a guy who was cooking enough meth to get everybody in my shelter high. There are things like that that we deal with on a daily basis. We have theft all the time. I had a guy digging through my scrapyard yesterday, stealing scrap out of there, and I had to go out there and tell him, we sell the scrap, could you not do that? He's like, okay, and he just turns and walks off. These are just some of the things that we deal with when you're dealing with a shelter. But that's a good question. I would say I'd be surprised if we had over 200.
Well, I was going to ask you a question. One of the problems, challenges for the city and business owners downtown in particular is when, as you say, the folks, that whatever their condition is, they don't follow the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And we just had some of that today, some people camping out on the library lawn. We dutifully trespassed them and kicked them off, and they moved on and left some problems for us to deal with, excrement and stuff like that. I'm thinking, I'm sure our folks down there told them, hey, there's a shelter at the Salvation Army, but my guess is they may not meet the requirements, whatever they are, which aren't very stringent, but they probably don't follow the rules is what I'm guessing. So out of that 150, I would say there's probably a lot of them, maybe the majority of them don't really create issues, in my opinion, but some of them do. Over time, not tonight to put you on the spot, but if there is anything the city can figure out, I know the commission would like for us to, if there is, but there really isn't a solution. As you're very kind and your patience to gently tell people to go away when other people could rightfully be upset. So do you have any thoughts on?
I could be wrong, but I think since I've been here in my fourth Christmas, we've only trespassed 3 people since I've been here. If people can't get it together, we ask them politely, hey, you really need to move on. We have a write-up process. Even in my United Way, I got my letter today, being an agent partner, and part of their synopsis of what the Salvation Army does well, number 3 was accountability. And I think when you have homeless population, you need somebody to sit there and say, hey, you can't do that. And I think that's the problem is they don't understand that's not right until somebody actually says, hey, that's not right. We don't just come in there, I'm not going to phrase a song, but it's just the easiest. We're not a wrecking ball. Our clientele has to meet with a case manager to figure out what their next step is. That's our accountability, is to make sure that they understand these are rules that you can do, these are rules that you can't do, and there are a few non-negotiables, like you're not going to threaten my staff with physical harm, but I don't call the police and say I need them trespassed. What I say is I need you to leave now and let's talk in a couple days. We don't because we are trying to be a sober living facility, this is part of the reason why we're trying to expand our programs as in a bigger shelter. We were converting our dining room into sleeping arrangements for men because our dorm itself was completely full. We were averaging 67 people in our shelter during the summer. And then when the weather gets better, everybody just clears out. And now that the weather's starting to get bad again, we're starting to fill up. I don't know
Did you
how.
say 67 or 6 or 7?
67
67, okay, that's what I
people
thought you
off the street staying in my shelter.
said. Okay.
I don't know how you can get somebody to agree to do anything that they don't want to do. You know me, Rick knows me. He knows me so well he wanted to be on my board. We tried our best to make people make good adult decisions. Sometimes it's just a nudging and sometimes it's a pushing. But we try to help them understand what are good decisions we could have done differently and what are decisions that maybe haven't helped us in the past, maybe we do something different. So not only do we have to be the adult in the situation and everything that we do, sometimes people just need to be told that somebody believes in them to make the changes. That's part of our wheelhouse. We try to help people understand there's a better way to do things. And as I've already said, it's kind of hard to tell my 8-year-old stop doing that and not get frustrated. And they, when you're talking with adults, they automatically get frustrated because they're told you can't do that. And so there's that. You have to be very particular, very sensitive to understand who you're talking to. We also have the problem of, I'm not grouping all of them in this, but there is mental health that has to do with why they make those decisions. I have one lady in my shelter, and I'm probably going to make more trouble for me. She's been in my shelter for almost 3 years. I can't get rid of her. She has PTSD, and she is at the point where Adult Protective Services has opened her case 6 times since I've been here. There's people like that I tend to hold on to because one, and I'm not being sexist, so please forgive me, she's a female and she's always sleeping in front of my building. I've seen people men walking down the street and they'll stare at her for 4 hours on camera. And so there are things like that I'm privy to that I'm very sensitive, and I don't want to kick her out. But her mental health, she can't make good decisions, so I'm at the point, what do I do? So she's been with me for 3 years.
Well, I appreciate, even though you don't know what to do, part of bringing you through in here is the commission may all know you, maybe they don't, but we're bringing in organizations over the next couple of months that are organizations that deal with these problems every day.
Yes.
And I know I've gotten to know a little bit more about them, appreciate all the efforts, and so maybe, I don't know how the city can help, other than maybe try to coordinate with you guys. I know some of the things that you're talking about over time, we've had some funds available to us through the CDBG. I don't know that we've ever spent any at Salvation Army, but it might be something you're providing the only full-time shelter, period.
Yes.
In the city. So I think that's significant.
I wanted to highlight that holidays don't matter.
Exactly.
We're still open, we're still cooking. Our cost in meals, just several months ago was $1,200 a week. I paid $9,000 last week to feed people. So not only are we putting our money where our mouth is, we're helping people understand that they matter, that they are somebody who can do this. They just need a little bit of friendly gesturing, pushing along. And that's what we do, and I honestly think that's what we do well. I know the mayor's gone through our facility. That used to be where the only hospital in Enid was at one time. And I do have a 100-year-old building on my property that is where my 4 apartments are for my family units.
That was a hospital? I didn't know.
Yeah. We still got medical. I don't know if y'all want it, but there's still medical stuff in that 100-year-old building. It's in the basement. We can't get to it. But our thing is we're trying to do better. And in this climate in the world that we live in, it is harder to make that dollar stretch. And that's where we are. I want to add to the shelter. We are actively, we just did the laundry room. We are actively looking at redoing our showers, which were just done 6 years ago. But we've had so many people come through our building that they're just falling apart. The kitchen needs to be redone. The family units, of course, need to be redone. We have found, excuse me, that we're missing a step from dorm style rehabilitation to being by themselves. And we help them get housing, we help them get a job, we help them get clothing and work boots and get transportation. But we're missing that step, and with the 12 apartments, we're gonna have a step system. So when they're not just by them, they're with everybody, and then they're just by themselves. They get lonely, they get depressed, they get back into the cycle of addiction, and then guess what? I see them again. So we are looking at expanding our programs in Enid, putting our money where our mouth is, to not only help the community, but to help people stay on the right path. That's really important to the Salvation Army as a whole, and that's important to me as well. So I hope to be here another year. They move us without any inkling that we're moving, but we love it here, and I think we've seen, and this is something I would like for you to take away from this, we have seen a lot, and I don't have this statistic. We've seen a lot of success of getting people back on their feet. We've seen a lot of families stay together, either reunite, or find a place where their kids can go back to school. There are things that the Salvation Army is here, and we don't do a good job of patting ourselves on the back. We don't. I'll do it in this setting because you need to hear what we're doing, that we're not just sitting back there, and we're not, we are actively working on how can we do better? How can we move on?
Captain Brittle, can I ask you just a couple questions?
Yes, sir. I'm an open book.
Okay. First of all, I was able, had an invite from one of your board members to go through your facility. And I've got to say, I don't know what I was expecting going in, but what I found was not what I was expecting. And how organized the facility is, but how you have the ability to have some order and some discipline, and dealing with a very challenging group sometimes. And I appreciated that. If they don't follow the rules, they do not stay. You're not going to put everybody else in danger because of that. But so thank you. I appreciate that. That was an eye-opener for me, and made me feel a lot better that there was a full-time shelter that puts their money where their mouth is and does that. So I wanted to say that, but you mentioned when I was there that something that y'all do that would be helpful from the other organizations around town is that have those people register.
Yes.
So that we have some idea of who they are, where they're moving, are they just taking advantage of the programs?
Right.
And has that started happening with other groups? I know when Jeremiah was up here, he said they do not.
That is an issue that I think we're going to have to come together. The Salvation Army spends collectively a lot of money in making sure that we can track people. We close our office at 3:30 in the afternoon. My employees don't get off till 5 because they have to take detailed case notes of everybody they've met. And we're seeing, this is an honest number, we're seeing 60 people before lunch some days. There's a lot of people that come through there. We help with utility assistance. We keep the electricity on in the summer for the air conditioning. We will keep whatever heats your home on in the winter. They can do that. Everybody can do that 1 calendar year. I have actually gotten some people telling me that I can't ask for IDs. That is not a Captain Brittle policy. That is a Salvation Army policy for one reason. If you remember in my talk, we work in every zip code in Oklahoma. We work technically every zip code in America. So my thing is if I'm getting funds from you, you want to make sure that I'm helping your neighbor. Well, if I have people coming from Stillwater trying to apply and they're applying to Stillwater, then that's double dipping. So the Salvation Army uses Charity Tracker. And Charity Tracker tells the date that we met them, what we helped them with, and I can open up a file from the day one that they've showed up to us to make sure not only are they at the right Salvation Army, but we are making them wait the allotted time for their 1 calendar year or their 60 days for groceries or whatever it may be. When it comes to clothing, there's no time limit. When it comes to helping them get blankets or socks, we are a Bombas. We've been a Bombas partner for the last 6 or 7 years, where we give out socks, and now we're actually one of their launching sites to do underwear, and we give those out freely. There are things like that we keep track of, and that also helps us when we have somebody we haven't seen in a couple months. They come back in, we can open their file and say, hey, you were going for a job interview, how did it work out?
Yes.
There are notes like that, and then when you can do that for somebody, it makes them feel like we actually took the time to listen, but also that's that accountability we're talking about.
Why are the other facilities resistant to doing that? To me, that seems like it would be very helpful on a lot of different levels.
Can I be honest?
Always.
Because it costs money. That program is something I have to pay a yearly subscription through our corporate office, if you will. And that is something that we use so we can track it. I can tell you one family how many times they've gotten an angel tree from us. My wife has it every 3 years. You can apply for a tree for Spruce Up a Life, which is the only program we do in the nation. They're actually trying to mirror this at other Salvation Armies across the U.S. We're the only ones that's been doing it, and we just did our 34th year. So there are things in Enid that is getting talked about in Atlanta, Georgia, which is where our territorial office is. There are things like that that cost money that you actually have to pay somebody to sit there and input everything. And so if you don't have the manpower, if you don't have the want, the will, we had to update all of our computers to stick up with the updates because they were so old, couldn't update them. So those are things that we've spent money on again, not part of our direct help, but that's money that we spend because it's important for us to be able to track them. So if somebody from Enid were to move to California, which I don't know why you'd want to, or to Texas, we can follow them around and say, hey, we know you come from Enid and you were there from this time. How can we help you here? What is your goals here? And we put those in there. Well, there's a spot for goals. There's a spot for achievements that they've done, and we can follow up with them and say, listen, this is great. Now what's the next step?
Just a couple more things, and then anybody else that has any questions. But you said 150 homeless is what you would guess here in town. Are you seeing that go up or down over 3 or 4 years past and moving forward?
I think that's steady. We have a lot of transits. People
That
passing
was my
through.
next question.
And what they do, we fill out a file for them when they stay with us. If y'all know what a safe place is, I've only had it happen once in my career with the Salvation Army, where if somebody doesn't want their child, they can drop them off, and we take over from there. It happened to me in Sand Springs about 7 years ago. Never forget it. We're a safe place, so I have to know who's on property because the one thing that will keep you from staying with us is if you're a sex offender. Our church is across the alley. I have family units, and that's just one thing that this Salvation Army, we can't handle. And so we need to be able to track who is with us. And so a lot of the transits, if they were in Oklahoma City last night and they're in Enid tonight, and they tell us that, and we pull it up on the computer, we're able to see where they came from. And it helps them, keep their story straight, if you will. Helps us understand who they are and where they're from. There are things like that we are very particular on how we do those.
Is that data that can be shared, or is that confidential data? Or can
It is confidential.
Can it be aggregated in some way that might be, I don't know if there is. I figured it would be. So
Our issues is prescriptions. This is something that's come up quite often. You have to turn in all your medications, and we have medical lockers. Every file that we have has some sort of medical record, whether it be something simple like a birth certificate where they were born, all the way up to what meds they were prescribed last week. Because if somebody who just checks in overdoses or shares with somebody else, I need to know what's in the building. And the reason that we don't let them take it into the dorm is we're all adults here. People like to share when they want to get high. And so it makes it easier if they're in the dorm. They know that they're not going to be kicked out by, overnight unless they set the place on fire or fight somebody. They understand that they can share, and they've got a couple hours before they're kicked out. So that's important to us to make sure that we have all of that. And all of our records, like I said, have some sort of medical record. And so then we get into HIPAA. And
it's just enough to know the trend over 4 years is really roughly.
I think
while transients come and go, it's still about 1.
I think we're level. People, please hear me out. I'm trying to be respectful. People come here, and we're really great about helping homeless as a community. There are others that don't track, which drive me nuts. And me and Jeremiah, we're good friends. We've talked about it. My issue is once they've worn that welcome out, they'll go to the next city, and then in a year or two, or maybe a little bit longer or less, they'll come back, and they'll still try to get what they can get, and then they'll move on. And that's the trend that I've seen in 4 years. I just had somebody check in the other day. Haven't seen him in almost 2 years. So he's doing his rounds, and that's what they do. They wear their welcome out, and then they move.
So these transients, how many transients would you say are in town every day to couple with this 150 homeless?
I would say probably best guesstimate would be about 20 a week.
And of these homeless, how many of those folks are actually from our area?
I would say probably less than 50%.
Okay.
I don't know too many homeless people in our shelter that are from Enid.
Yeah. Why are they coming? What draws them right here?
I'm gonna get some eyebrows on this one, but it's because this city, there's resources. And I'm not gonna talk bad about other entities. I can't tell them how to spend their money, but I believe enabling is a problem. I think if we don't have
In your view,
standards.
though, how better could that be done? That's what we're all trying to figure out here. Everyone has a kind heart, and
Absolutely.
I know that our churches around town, we have some of the best people in the world, but that also is causing some additional issues.
I think if we're not going to work together, I think we're going to just spin our wheels. This Thanksgiving was the first time we partnered with the radio station in Jumbos. We gave out in 1.5 days 441 turkeys with the fixings. So that's more than we've done in the last 3 years combined. There is more need. We see the bills. I mean, our grocery bill's gone through the roof. I don't know if we're not going to work together, if we're not going to stop pitting each other against other groups, I don't know how we can move forward. The Salvation Army, as I've stated, we've been here a while. We're trying to stretch that dollar as best we can, but we're also trying to be very mindful of what the donors' expectations for that money is. And so if you're going on social media and thanking every one of your people that donate to you, I think that's counterproductive, because we're all going for the same dollars from the same group of people, same 30, 40 people through the year, and then Christmas, we kind of all hit everybody at the end of the year. So I don't know if we don't work together. I would say that the reason that our shelter is not open during the day is because there's other places like the library and Hope Outreach that has a day center. We're trying to stretch the dollars, so I don't have staff to cover the shelter that day. That's helping us do other things. So I think if we could work together better, that would probably be a way to do it. But tracking people, I know that sounds bad and very authoritative, but I don't know how else we could help that person.
Captain, you said recently you had somebody that was cooking meth that was under your care. I'm not asking you about specifics like
Sure.
that, but when you have somebody like that that's abusing other residents, do you report them to law enforcement?
No.
Okay. Even if they're cooking methamphetamine? Okay.
Yes.
Why is that if they're?
By policy.
I'm not looking for you to report or asking to report users, but
So
dealers certainly are another
So
issue.
I could answer that in a few different ways. And the one thing is I try to let that person know that that's unacceptable. And the consequences of him doing that on property in my bathroom at 1 o'clock in the morning, he's got to go. Because we are trying to keep other people from partaking in things like that. That's also one of those things that we do that maybe he has a felony. Maybe that will be his third strike. My thing is I want him to understand that he won't be allowed to come back, and he needs to make better choices. But by policy, if that's his first offense, if you will, on a property, they really want us to be mindful of the person and the consequences of escalating it.
Okay.
I try
But, like, if you had somebody violently assault another resident, that would, you would call the police?
I wouldn't have a choice.
Okay.
Because it's assault on property. And even on Halloween this year, I was trying to take my son trick-or-treating. There was one person in our shelter put hands on another person. My staff didn't even get a chance to call the police. There was somebody else, because they all have cell phones. I didn't even get a chance to even get there and take over and figure out what was going on. I show up and there were 9 police officers there that night.
Okay.
So I understand, and I was also only here my second week,
Yeah.
and they were calling the police every night for something. And my first staff meeting was, we don't call the police unless we need the police. We handle that kind of stuff internally to make sure that everybody's safe and that there's a proper process. But we don't need to call the police every time somebody gets mad at somebody and they start cussing each other.
Sure.
I can't deal with that. That's not good resources, and that's not good.
Yeah.
I just, so my staff, and so now when we call the police, thank you, Jesus, they'll show up. You know what I mean? And so that was my second week there, and I couldn't believe it. I was just like flabbergasted that this even happened in my shelter. So I haven't had it happen since, but we have had other things happen that.
One question for you, Captain Brittle. Have you reached out to the Ministerial Alliances?
I'm part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have any of them approached you about contributing funds or, to the Salvation Army or?
I've had a
help?
few show up to help serve dinner.
Okay.
I open up my, because anybody can come in at 6 o'clock. They've come in, they've prayed with people if they asked permission and they said yes. No, but I have had quite a few of them bring me people that they didn't know what to do with. That's an ongoing thing. That everybody knows where to go when it comes to that, and if they can follow the rules, we'll help them out. Everybody gets an opportunity to try it out. So no, but that's actually not a bad idea.
Well, Captain Brittle, we appreciate what you're doing. I was just really impressed. We appreciate that. Please keep doing it. We hope they keep you here for a while. And,
Yes. That's my prayer.
Thank you so much for coming and letting us know kind of what's going on down there
Absolutely.
through your program. We do appreciate that.
Can I just say that if anybody would like a tour, the same one that you went on, I
Yes,
would be more than happy to facilitate that. If there's any questions that you have that maybe you think of later, y'all have my contact information. I'm always at work, literally. My wife wasn't happy I was here tonight, but she understands.
So you just
But,
go to Salvation anytime and we'll find you.
That's it. Or somebody gets hold of me. But I would like to say thank you for this opportunity. We don't tell our story enough. That's a conscious decision on my part. I cannot go out and ask for funds and donations and then turn around and spend it on PR. I can't. If you see commercials and hear radio, that's free. I've always been like that. My dad was an officer for 40 years, so that's just something we do. And so I can't thank y'all enough for the opportunity to just kind of give a little bit of what's going on.
And the girl you have ringing the bell at Jumbo, the main.
Meredith?
Man, she's into it, let me tell you. I don't know how many dollars she raises.
I don't know
but-
if she'll ever see this. She can't carry a tune. Man, she
For the
puts it.
record, I did not say that. You did.
She puts 100% in there.
She does.
And let me say this. She is a different person away from that kettle. I mean, when she's at the kettle, she's on stage.
Yeah.
And so she's ranked for us for, you know how many years? It's quite a few, like maybe 20, 18 or 20.
It's
Yeah,
impressive.
she's been around a while. So thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Item number 3.3, discuss Phase 2 of the Enid Police Department Training Center. Chief?
He told me I need to leave. Oh, good evening. I hope this is, I won't say more positive, but, it's kind of sad to hear about our homeless population in Enid, but it's something we're dealing with on a daily basis as well. I get to come to you, this is my second time. First time I came to you, I told you about an idea, and that idea is Phase 2 of the training center. We have been in Phase 2 for about a year now, and it looks like we're getting close to breaking ground. So I finally got some diagrams to give you an idea what the Phase 2 will look like. We are calling it the Defensive Tactics Center, but ultimately it is a multi-use facility. And the architectural drawings are done. It's currently in engineering. The building will be 60 by 100. It'll go directly behind the training center. It's directly behind this building. And it will match the facade of the current building. It will have metal, and then it'll have about a 4-foot capstone brick to make it look like it's supposed to be with the other training center. There'll be a walkway between the current building and the Phase 2 or the Defensive Tactics building. And you can kind of see that on, I've not used this thing. That's not the button. Riley, help. Okay, it did, it vibrated. So this area here will be the walk-through. We'll also have an exterior entry that will go to the parking lot. So we'll have two ways to get in and out of that building. Actually, three. There'll be another door on the other end. When I told you about this idea, I said there's two things we don't have in the city of Enid to run a top-notch police academy. One was a driving track. The other was this center. We're getting close to having only one of those things on that list, and we're still working on the second. What will be in this building? Like I said, the primary function of this building is going to be defensive tactics. At some point in time, I hope to have a civilian coordinator in my training center. Right now, I've got two guys working our training center that handles the police academy, the Citizens Police Academy, and any other function that deals with the simulator. They are booked solid. They're here on the weekends, they're here at night. We've done a couple classes for city employees. So my hope is within the next year or two, I have a civilian coordinator that will handle the external stuff, the churches, the businesses, the security teams, things like that, that we're not able to do right now. Inside the building, like I said, it'll be a multi-use facility. We're setting it up for basketball courts. There'll be 3 pickleball courts painted on the floor. And then we're also going to go ahead and drill the holes for volleyball. What we're looking at, there's a lot of ways that money can be raised in tournaments. So we might look at that. Also, we want to reach out to the community. It's always been a goal of mine to be part of our community and have community involvement. That's one of the purposes of the shooting simulator. You know, we want people to train and learn how to use a weapon and not just carry one around on the street. We're almost to that level. Like I said, I don't have the manpower right now, but hopefully that will come. I talked to John Mers today. We're in the final stages of engineering, and we hope to have all the documents ready by February 12th to go out for bid. And I think there's a couple more pictures to give more view. The building roof, the roof of the building will be slanted just like the current building. One thing I have learned in 3 building projects over at the police department is flat roofs and air conditioning units on roofs do not work. I think you found that out as well. We have lots of leaks. We're continually fixing leaks over at the police department. So we'll have a slanted roof, and the air conditioning unit will be on the outside. One of the things we have learned with the new building, people like to break into our air conditioning units. So as we build this building, we're going to improve that. So between the 2 buildings, they're not going to be connected because that put me at about $1.7 million, and I told you I was going to try to keep this at $1 million. So we had to look at some cuts, and one of those cuts was separating the 2 buildings and having a space in between the 2, which caused me to have a drainage study, which was another $12,000 I wasn't prepared for, but it's okay, we overcame that. The air conditioning units will be in between the 2 buildings, and then at the end of each building, there's going to be a wrought iron fence to protect our air conditioning units from vandalism, theft, things like that. So, but this will be the slant of the building. You can go up, Kent. The exterior, like I said, is going to have a 4-foot brick and capstone to match the current building, and the rest will be metal. That's another way we were able to cut some of the cost of the $1.7 million budget. So, and there should be one more of the floor. That's just kind of a view through the facility. Both basketball goals will be able to be raised up and put out of play during any type of hand-to-hand combat, things like that, that we'll be using the facility for. And with that, I'll take any questions.
When you said civilian, and I'm sure Justin had a little bit of flashback, but you weren't thinking of Captain Hill coming back as a civilian for his School of Pain or Week of Pain?
No. I don't think Captain Hill would come back, actually, but no, you're talking about the civilian coordinator? I hope that's a retired police officer, because that type of person is going to know what we're looking at, how to reach out to the community, and what kind of training we want to put out to the community. So I would hope that would be a retired police officer, but anybody that's got that mindset, somebody that's willing to work and be self-motivated, I would take over a retired police officer per se. I hope to be back in sometime after February. Hopefully we'll be out for bids during the month of February. Is that 60 days, 90 days?
So Chief, just one question, so I'm clear, is that going on the east side of the building?
It's going directly south
On
of
the
the current
south side.
building. So the walkway will go from north to south, being closed with vending
Okay.
machines and things.
And
like-
is that vacant now? Is there room in there for that?
Yeah, so
Okay.
when the skate park moved, we basically have from State to the alley. So all that's been measured, this will fit right in there. Can't fit anything else in there after this, and I plan on this being my last building project before I retire, so, yeah, it fits in there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have, thank you. Item 3.4, update on Community Development Department remodel project.
Good evening.
Scott?
So, excuse me, we have gone out and designed a remodel area for the downstairs area. What I can, wow, this is,
But
there we go, hold it down, there we go. So if you come down the stairs right here, you can see where these are the bathrooms here. This is where the conference table is currently. So what we're looking at doing, we're gonna remodel this area, so when you come down, you're not just looking at a table going, where do I go to find code and community development? We will have somebody sitting in this area here to help direct, either down to IT, or we are looking at, I'll go ahead and kind of discuss the phases here. The stuff highlighted in blue is going to be recarpeted. It's going to be phase one. This is going to be done in 2 weeks, to where we can get this lower level conference area moved from this open area to this office area down here. The second phase will be, of course, the black areas. Nothing's going to be done there. We're not changing anything. The areas in red are just going to be recarpeted, no walls, no nothing like that. This is going to be our new director's office right here. And then this is the closet we have set him in for the time being until we can, of course, move him into the larger area. And then we've got this area going. Kent, do you have the drawings, the plans? Let's see, can we go down? Keep going down to the window is what I'm looking for. A little bit further, that one right there. So when you walk down the stairs, this is what you will be seeing. There'll be somebody sitting at this glass here to help direct. Whether it's code, community development, or IT, we can help discuss that. What you've got looking at here, you'll have 2 desk areas, but there's a window here that you can slide plans underneath, talk to questions. We plan on having monitors out here also. This is an ADA desktop here to where we can also help any ADA. This will be, so you walk in and you can go that way to code and community development. You can go this way down to IT. We will also plan on, so if you are walking down the stairs, we'll have a wall here that will have shelving full of information and everything to help answer questions and everything. That is the quick overview.
Yeah, let me just talk again about why are we doing this. You may remember, I think I talked a little bit at budget time about how I thought we needed to combine community development and code. We both sat downstairs. Community development was a department of 2, and code was about 10. I think now our combined department's about 13 or so, and we really need to do some of these modifications at a relatively minimal cost. I think we put some money in the budget for that, to do that, and we'll stay within that budget. I don't recall what the number was, but this will certainly help in our efforts, I believe, to be more user-friendly and efficient in providing customer service and responding to the needs of the development needs of the community. So I'm excited about it, This has been in the works for a while. I appreciate the leadership of Scott Morris and you, Scott G. And now you, Leroy, you're going to benefit as the new director of the area. And I believe that we're making improvements and strides in our ability to process anything from permits to site plans, et cetera. This will just be a continuation of that in an effort to provide good customer service. So I'm very pleased and want to talk about it tonight and answer any questions you might have or thoughts about it.
Is the conference table that we have, will it fit in that new conference room?
Yes, I think they've measured at least 2 or 3 times.
I've measured a couple of different, apologize.
Go ahead, please.
I have measured a couple of times. I've actually got it laid out, taped out to make sure that it fits, and we have all the room down there.
On top of that, we have already ordered and are going to be installing as soon as the carpet is in, a very large screen and a state-of-the-art projector and all of the teleconference audio video equipment that you would want, that you would expect in a brand new conference room. It's all top of the line. It's going to be a fantastic space for conference rooms where you won't be interrupted when you're trying to meet and people walk downstairs and go, I'm walking right in the middle of a meeting. What do I do? It's going to be a fantastic conference space.
Do we need another conference room? Don't we have 2 upstairs already? And then we got Gerald's as well.
Yes, we do need another conference room. In fact, that's a good point. I've got an MPO meeting coming up. We don't really have a good conference room, in my opinion, to handle all the people that we're going to have. We can use this room, and we have from time to time, but it's not ideally laid out. So I believe we do need another conference room. This will serve not only just the community development department, but as Scott mentioned, at some point we might have some meetings down there or other groups coming in. So in my opinion, yes, we do.
But are the 2 that we have right upstairs that have the glass windows, are those fully utilized?
Yes. They're relatively small. Conference room A is about, I'm going to say maybe, 8 to 10 people, and conference room B might be a little bit bigger. We did expand it a little bit recently to help fit, but engineering typically keeps conference room B busy and sometimes overflows to A. I see Jason back there, and then I know that accounting and others need, and certainly the city manager conference room is available to be used by groups as well. But
Those 2 conference rooms, there's people in them every single time I'm up here. It's uncanny how often they use them.
Might I also add that we're not adding a conference room, we're moving that big area that is utilized as a conference area to an enclosed conference area.
And the times I came here during the day, I actually thought one of those conference rooms was Jason's office. I've seen him in there, like every time I come in.
yes.
How often, or how long is this expected to take?
So we'll start carpeting in 2 weeks. We get bids back. We had a pre-meeting earlier this week. We get our bids back on the 18th, and so we'll open bids. So we're hoping soon after that.
But one of the reasons for phase 1 is before the construction happens in the room that you all utilize before the meetings, we'll be able to have that other conference room completely set up and usable before the construction starts.
We'll go back to that.
Yeah, for the new community development office.
And does that kitchen go away, the kitchen area? No, it stays?
It remains.
Okay.
But I will have your conference room set up with a nice beverage refrigerator and a place to put food items
I
and
was
things
just
like
curious where the chicken nuggets were gonna be. That's
I got
all
you
was
covered.
asked.
They will be right behind the table.
So,
Leroy, did you have a question?
I did a question, but a comment. A lot of people don't realize, but in planning and code, many times when you have a new business moving into your community or business expanding, that's your front door, because the planning department many times knows what the next new development in town is before anybody else.
Very good
because they have to
point.
go through the planning process. Being able to be responsive to them and give a good first impression when you're dealing with outsiders, because all business people talk to other business people and how they're treated. So it does provide a good front door for the community for those kind of activities to be completed.
very good point. Thank you. Any questions or comments? I think that's exciting. I think it's something we've needed for a long time. It's very awkward when we're down there and people are coming through. Probably more for them than us. So,
Right, we get used to it.
yeah, so thank you.
very much.
Thank you very much. Our last item, 3.5, update on the beautification of the city entryways.
You'll remember Tiffany Tingler is one of our property inspectors and certainly one of the best.
Thank you.
And has taken the lead on this project, so I appreciate getting the update.
Well, good afternoon, or evening. I'll try to make this quick so we can get things going. Okay, this is a beautification map, same thing that it has been. We haven't made any changes yet. Let's see what we've got here. The progress since the last update, we're still working on a little bit of mowing and edging. It's kind of slowed down on the main entryways, removing the signs and trash from the right-of-ways, sending notices and letting them know that we're trying to keep it clean. And I'm also working on sending notices for the sign ordinances to the commercial corridors. This is a couple of pictures that I have. Some of the work that we did on Van Buren. This is a edging and a mowing of a property on Van Buren. And another. And then I have some on Garland. I don't know if you can see these very well, but this is right there on Garland and Randolph, trying to take out some of that extra stuff and make it look really nice. Some more on Garland. And then I have, this is on North Cleveland, over kind of by Jumbo's. There was an easement there that got pretty overgrown, and we took out quite a bit of it. There's still a lot of railroad over there that it's not taken care of, but we took quite a bit of it out there.
I think as we look at those on the railroad right-of-ways,
Yeah,
we probably just need to deal with those.
Yeah.
Because the railroad is, number one, they're not going to care, and number two,
Okay.
they're not going to do it. So
okay.
just FYI for
I can
guidance.
do
And you're
some of
doing a
that.
great job, by the way.
Thank you. And then I have Cleveland. This is behind Jumbo's on North Cleveland. We took out some of that area too. You could see a pretty big difference in this one. Makes it look nice when you drive down Cleveland over there. And these are just some after pictures. We took some extra attention to East Garriott from 7th to 30th. And they edged and mowed, and it looks really pretty good over there. He did a really good job. And then this is some more before and afters, kind of showing you how in depth he went with the edging. And then this is some railroad property on East Garriott.
That looks fantastic.
It looks a lot better.
What it did.
And then these are just some of the small jobs that I send do that just make a difference, just the little bitty jobs, but it does make quite a bit of difference. Just on Randolph. And then we took out a tree on the city of Enid property. It was a pretty big tree. It fell right before we took it out, but it's gone. It looks pretty good over there. We're actually cleaning the alley up. I'm working on that behind that building over there to make that parking lot look nice over there.
Where she's looking at those pictures there, that's the Stride Bank Center when you walk out to the parking lot, where that Q spot used to be, and then the alley that goes towards the YMCA. We're cleaning up that alley and trying to clean up some of that
A
area.
lot of people see that when they come out and go over to the park.
Yeah.
It's a good thought, yeah.
And then this is the other part I'm working on as well, is with the signs and trying to make it look better in the commercial areas. This is a sign, letter I sent, and they removed the sign, and we're asking them to either remove them or to make them more presentable,
So you asked and they did it.
They did it. I have a couple that are actually like that. They're just not on here, but they're actually doing pretty well. A lot of them are, so. And then our starting budget was $100,000. And with all the work we've been doing, I'm down to about 556. I've spent about 9,000, a little over 9,000 this year, so.
Well, I think that you've been a good steward of the funds, but I know the growing season's coming.
Yeah.
And as you know, we've talked about, and Commissioner Warren, Commissioner Saragusa, you've talked about, we want to sustain this effort.
Okay.
So the way that we're going to do that is your great work, adding the 4th property inspector that we have on board now, and then perpetually, or at least annually, as this is a priority, budget a certain amount of money. So this money is still available to finish the fiscal year.
Okay.
We will spend what we need. If we run out, we run out. If we don't run out, then it won't be spent, and it would potentially be available to reappropriate next year. So I just wanted you to know that. I think we're being really good stewards of the money.
Yeah, it sounds like it, and you guys are doing great work, and this is
Thank you.
nice, and we're glad we're getting it caught up, but like Gerald said, growing season is coming.
Yeah.
If we need to replenish these funds next FY, I'd be more than willing to lead the effort on that.
We kind of started this at the end of the growing season, so it'll probably change a lot when it goes next year, so, yeah. And the last
Like I
thing
say,
have-
East area-wise, I travel it a lot, and it really looks good on the east side. And then we come up over the overpass on 30th, and we still got the contraption out there. So
That,
we got work that we got to do
Yes.
still, because it doesn't matter how clean we get our roadways looking, that disaster in the gateway of coming in, it's got to go. It's got to go.
And I can say we're working, I'm working directly with Scott G. on looking at avenues that we haven't pursued to this point that I think it's time to pursue,
Yeah.
namely demolition.
we've been having conversations about it, so I think we're trying to come up with what's going to be the best way to go at it, so.
So we will, maybe by the next update, we'll have more on that
Okay.
for you. I would like to go ahead and ask you to permanently on the map add Willow. I know
Okay.
Commissioner Roberts asked about that a couple meetings ago.
Okay.
And it's not that we have ignored it. We just wanted to make progress, but I think we have made progress, and I think I'd like to add it, coming off of, I think 30th Street's already on there, but Willow, probably just across town, because the west of Van Buren isn't that bad, but east of Van Buren there's spots that are bad. So if we could just add that over
Okay.
time and just leave that as that's the map we'll work on until we decide to modify it
All
based
right.
on needs.
And I just want to say, I want to thank Commissioner Orr for spearheading this initially, because you got a lot of work done over on my side, and it's looking a lot better, and I appreciate that.
Hey, can I ask about the land that's just south of Chestnut on Cleveland, behind the new jeweler?
I'm fixing to bring that up. That's in my
Yes.
ward.
That's it, man, that's still a nice sword. We can do better
You
than that.
gotta get in there with a brush hog and at least cut it.
I'm trying to
That's
picture,
where the
where's it at,
detention-
Chestnut?
That's where the new detention facility is gonna be, back behind Blanton.
Yes, and we have done a little bit of work, but not enough there.
Which one is it?
That is a detention area that we did have a company come and demolish the structures. They've left some piles. I think we removed some of the piles, but there's high grass and weeds.
Oh,
It
off
doesn't
of
look good.
Cleveland by Dollar
Behind
Tree.
Dollar Tree.
Yes.
Okay, I was actually going to
So
ask about that.
We probably need
so-
to work on that with a
Okay.
contractor to help us clean it up, I think.
Yeah, can we just give them the permission to do that tonight? And
I'm giving them the permission now because you're telling me to do it. So I'm jumping ahead to
Okay.
Tiffany,
Well, it
please
needs-
put it
I
on.
got it. All
I
right.
saw it last night and I said, I'm gonna bring it up, so.
You guys did good. That's how the
Thank
chain of command works. It's fantastic.
All
Right,
right.
Colonel?
Right.
Okay, anything else?
One quick suggestion, just quickly. We were talking about the homeless issues and the different organizations where they come to Enid because they have resources. I think it's something that we should seriously consider, Mayor, when we can get together privately. And, we give handouts. I believe that collectively, we can come together with these citizens and have a hand up and help utilize some of the services if it's not against their rules or the laws or whatever, and get some help, from the individuals to help beautify the city of Enid. And a lot of times when you do that, people won't leave it a mess, because I know when I grew up, my father made us clean up, and I didn't want to have to keep cleaning up, so I kept it clean.
Yep.
So, just something we might be able to do to help them, to engage into the community and help beautify Enid as well in the community. And maybe we can get with the organizations and see if we can make that happen. Just a suggestion.
Okay.
Tiffany, thank you. You've done an amazing job.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it, and it is truly making a difference. I
Thank
mean,
you.
we can see it, so.
Y'all have a good night.
All right, thank you. That being said, that's our last item on the study session. We are
Can I make one more quick comment, Mayor? Hey, Gerald, can we get Mike Cooper and get an update on him and the Advanced Development Authority? I got some questions about the relationship between those two and how they work together. And we just don't hear, I don't hear enough from them and what they're spending money on, and I'd love to hear from him in the next study session or two.
Here.
Get an update. And I've got several questions I'll send you guys.
Who's doing what?
What's that?
You said Cooper and,
Oh, just the relationship between Mike Cooper and Advanced Development Authority, and what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to keep each other informed, because they're by charter, they're supposed to have a meeting every quarter, and they haven't had a meeting since July. And I'm just concerned that there's some information that's not being shared with the Advanced Development Authority.
That is a little far off the study session agenda, but obviously.
But I hear
we can
what the
make-
commissioner's
Yes,
saying, and
yes.
yes, we could work on that.
okay. Anything else? All right, we are adjourned. We'll start again at 6:30.